Yeah.
Yesterday you didn't. Yeah, yesterday you had some responsibilities in terms of health and safety, but today you have a whole pile of legal for taxation, for contracts for your staff, yeah, for health and safety, for trading stand. Oh my God, yeah. How are we going to bridge that, Sam? How are we going to bridge that gap between going through the process and ending up as a business? Because we also know that 3 out of 5 business owners are going to fail, right? Within 5 years, and 8 out of 10 in
Yeah.
10 years. And to a degree, because I don't, this is not blank, it's not their fault that they found themselves in that situation. It's their bloody fault. It's your fault, guys, that you haven't corrected it. But it's not your fault that you found yourself in that situation.
So when I qualified, so I was about the second year of MVQ, and I was really lucky that the head of my department had been part of that process. Um, what happened with me was I wanted to be a makeup artist. That's why I did hair, right? I wanted to do wig making and everything else. So I rock up, and the government have changed the funding, so I'm now on a 3-year hair and beauty course. So what I did was, because I had an interest in aromatherapy, and we didn't do electrolysis because they'd worked it out. Because this is the other thing, the time it takes for the NOS to hit in a college. So let's put it this way: the now NOS, the update and everything, I think about 2021, 2022, colleges still aren't teaching it because the awarding bodies haven't picked it up. That's one facet to who gets sort of like thrown out. It's not up to date. And by the time it is, it's out of date, right?
My name's Carl Hinder, and you're listening to the Salon Help Good to Go podcast, the podcast for salon spa and clinic owners who want to grow with more structure, more confidence, and better results. Episode 59, Part 2, State of the Industry with Sam Blake.
One thing that I think lacks, and this is where in beauty particularly the accredited side picks up, that you'll get academy owners who will do business courses within their accredited kind of offerings. When I was at college, and I came out of college and did my electrolysis and aromatherapy unit, I also did an M1 unit that was supervisory in business. So I had to write a business plan. I had to, in effect, set up this little modular business. Does that exist anymore? I don't think it does. I think things like that, the functional skills, the key skills, the skill development for, you've got a qualification in one thing, but that's a whole other entity of business and marketing and social media, that there's no stepping stone
There is
between.
not,
It
well,
just doesn't
I mean,
exist unless you go down the
yeah,
accredited route or come to somebody like yourself.
yeah. I mean,
And if the
that's why I
if
have a
the
career.
if the educators aren't talking about it,
Yeah,
and the educators who are educating aren't saying, actually, part of this, if you're going to go down that route, they'll talk about the employed route, but kind of seem to be a bit blind perhaps to the fact that the industry's moved on and changed. I don't know. That's just experience of sort of popping into places and kind of going, yeah, no, you're 5 years behind here in how you're thinking, in my opinion. How can
well, look,
that be fixed? The only thing that you can do is send information out there. I don't know. It
well,
just.
yeah. Well, look, I think that it's like everything else in business, right? When I'm coaching someone, I talk a lot about systems and procedures because we got to have control, right?
Yeah.
Salon owners don't like control in their business. I don't know why. I do know why. It's because they didn't like to be controlled and they don't feel they should control the business. That reaches out into the education side as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've worked with a lot of colleges, a lot of great people, and a lot of colleges over the years, for different training academies and God knows what. But anything outside of the creative sphere, they absolutely hate. Okay, so we can debate whether or not the college education system is good in terms of delivering high quality students, to put on your sales floor. Okay, that's not really our remit today.
No.
But I mean, I was literally at a college. I saw this firsthand where they had reception training. Okay, now people who work with me know that I adore front of house people. I absolutely value them amongst the highest people in any
Mm.
organization. However, When it was linked to retail, this particular training day or session, I witnessed the lecturer saying to them, "Don't worry about retail, okay?" So I spoke to the lecturer after and said, "What do you mean worry about it? It's like such an important part to a business.
Mm.
All that profitability, all that connection with your client, all that customer service, how are they going to get home and recreate what they're going to do? How are you going to build a relationship?" And his words to me were, "Carl, the money that those products generate goes back into the college. The girls are not getting any of it, so I'm not going to train it." Yeah, control. So the education, so the guys above the lecturers weren't monitoring what's going
Oh,
on. They
100%.
weren't looking to, and they weren't looking towards what the industry is going to need or the future employer. And in fact, I won't mention him on here because we are very good friends now. But if he's watching or listening to this, many, many, many years ago, I went to a college and said all this to a lecturer, really good guy, by the way, and said, "Why aren't you sending me bloody good people, right? Why are they all so rubbish?" And he said, "It's not my job to get people ready for your business, right?" And to me, that was exactly his job. Yeah, was to
So
get
it's
people ready to go into the
having
business.
worked in further education for a very long time, and I went bouncing from industry, going, okay, I know all of these brands, and we can create a competition, and we can have stars and stars and a retail jar that the client puts the comment in, and all of this. Tumbleweed. We haven't got the budget for the products. If they sell out, they're sold out. Then I'm going, okay, I'm troubleshooting that because that's what I used to do. We can laminate, and there can be a system where we say to the client, has this person done enough to sell you this? Pop their name on the back and stick it in a jar. Tumbleweed. That
Yep.
aspiration, that kind of, you can imagine me as a manager, right? It was a case of I'd clean the toilet, and it would be a case of you'd have a cupboard, and if you'd done really well, go and choose some fruit in the cupboard. Yeah, there was always
Yep.
a kind of, I'm not going to do anything that I'm not going to ask you to do, but this is kind of, I'm going to lift you up and pick you up with it. It's personality as well of who's actually teaching you, who's actually managing, and it is stressful. The whole bums on seats, get them to this point, get the funding in the pot is the primary goal, and the quality is secondary. I've not worked in places because as an IQA I was not going to put my signature to what they wanted me to churn out because of my integrity level, right? So I get it. I've lived it, got frustrated with it,
I know.
and walked away from it.
And if I knew what I know now about the college system, I would have never said that to him.
Yeah.
Right? I was looking at it from, I was growing my business. We were growing
That's
a
not
chain.
unique. That's
No,
not unique. That's
so
every
I was
college in the country.
yeah, I know, and I'm making a point that this is a very good individual, and I was growing my business. I wanted the support, and it seemed that a government agency should be supplying me with quality people that I'm already paying for, directly or indirectly. Until you realize, and I don't want to go into the college thing today, that their focus is different because they are aiming for, they're under funding pressure and processing pressure and
Yeah.
statistical pressure, and they're not part of the industry chain,
The
not in a
whole
linked up way
point,
kind of way.
is that how I tend to talk is standard practice, good practice, best practice. My belief as a manager, and if I was back in salon or owned a salon, would be, having gone through the whole process, somebody should come to me with a level of competency that is individually led by their own experiences in life. So you might have somebody who has no money mindset because that's not been around them growing up, right? You might have somebody who's absolutely hot on it and understands that. That for me is the responsibility with a really strong induction process, really strong onboarding process, and training within your business to get that person to the quality and standard, how we do things here. That step from that competency level is a responsibility of the business owner. There, I've said it. So
Yep.
what a college will do is churn out somebody, not always,
Yeah.
who's got a level of competency, But then that comes back to how many blow dries have you done? What's the model night like? Has your commercial salon operated? You know, that's a whole other podcast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Of the standard of
yeah.
what gets
Totally,
churned
totally.
out. But it's got to be how we do things here. It's getting back to what you were saying about that responsibility. If it's
Well,
not happening there, you're not
yeah,
going to change it. So what can you do?
yeah.
What
But
can
it's
you
look,
do?
it's not a joined up industry. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's an event about to come up very shortly in the industry, and at this event there is no business education whatsoever. Right? Massive, massive event.
Okay.
Right? No business education whatsoever,
I'm
and
intrigued.
it's a sector of our industry that is the most competitive. It's a sector of the industry that is really struggling with its image. It's a sector of the industry that's got no bloody money, can't recruit people, right? And there is no business knowledge there at all. No business. Now, is there no demand for it? Are the organizers just pandering to the creative side? What I'm saying is that's just an arm, right? So we got problems with the
Yeah.
colleges in terms of them connecting with industry. We've got problems with the, I'm going to call them associations, federations connecting with reality. We've got, we've got councils who are um, very variable. I used to have very, very
Yeah.
direct
Yeah.
connections with my councils. There is no joined up thinking, and that's why I keep going back. So anyone who ever works with me, anybody who's ever thinking, well, how do I? So I'm very, very independent about getting you as a business to the top of where you can be, because you can do it. I don't care if you're in the UK, the USA, in Spain or Canada, wherever you are. You a salon, unless there's something in your very, very, very local economic climate, like your biggest manufacturer or something has just closed down,
Mm.
you can be super successful. There's nothing stopping you being super successful. But if you're going to wait for everyone else, you're not going to make it. That's the trouble. And it's very
Yeah.
frustrating for people like us, Amazon, when we know that with some goodwill, we could probably move quite a long way quite fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to throw something in there, something big for you now. I haven't prepped you for this. All
Okay.
right.
Let me have a drink. Okay.
I haven't prepped you for this. I believe in a much smaller industry. I believe our industry would benefit from shrinking. And now, when I do this on any forum, especially with anyone who's got any connection to associations and God knows what, have an absolute hissy fit. To me, because we mentioned it earlier, right? We said that 20 years ago it was a much simpler. Okay, I think a much more organized, much more respected, and in many ways things like apprenticeships 20, 25 years ago were much, much better.
Mhm.
Things
I agree.
like even suppliers 25 years ago, and their input to the industry and their connection with the industry. I had amazing relationships with my suppliers, was much, much better. I think now we are so overrun with CEOs, okay, and that includes individual self-employed people, that it is so diluted that if we were to shrink this industry, that would create things like certainly for 10, 15, 20 years, no shortage of staff. We'd have a much better chance of a more better pricing structure. We'd have much better control. We'd have much better success in the businesses that are left. All right. So, do you think that's a popular thing to be saying, or do you think no, a successful industry would be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, or are you more on a controlled industry would be
I think
irrelevant
it's
to size?
idealistic. I think it's idealistic because if you look at the beauty sector, the level of, so you've got your top 20%.
Yep.
Give me some percentages here, and then you've got what the bottom is it 10% or is it more like 50%? You know, it just becomes
Well, look, you've
the
you've only
number
got
of
10% in the beauty sector. We've got, well, it's not much different in here. Only 10% are making real money, right?
yeah.
80% of salons are break even or loss, right?
Okay. Let
80%.
let's take the type of people. Okay, hair's not my bag, right? I can't really talk for hair, just as a
Yeah, sure.
punter going into a hair salon, right? But within beauty, you will have the second or third generational woman generally coming in who's had a career behind her, who now wants to do something at home or mobile or rent a space because she enjoys it. Okay, with the skill set behind. You've got people training in the Rondo training camp, who are doing it for pocket money. They just enjoy it. They're never going the such naturally, right? I believe naturally, though those bottom people who are just doing it as a hobby, it appears, I think, like they're getting a large proportion of the market, but actually what they're getting is a lot of the clients who people don't actually want, who add no
Mm.
value to the business because they're an absolute bloody nightmare, and just that, I call them the Welsh crew. They just want an led on price, not on quality. And everybody focuses on those people. They're damaging my business. They're not. Honestly, they're not, because you don't want the clients who they've got. It's the fact that your eye is off the ball, and we go back to how we do things here, and you know how you teach your clients, that if your ship is floating quite nicely with the sails open and you're in that forward direction, yeah, you've got to be aware of what's around you and the pirates are coming, but you keep focusing on that horizon, not what is happening around you. So yes, I agree with you. In an ideal world, it will shrink. It already does, and we just don't hear about it. Is the super salon dead? I hope not, but I think that part of the market will shrink and become something that is more collaborative workspace.
Yeah.
Dare I say
I
it?
think I don't think it generally will. I think we're about to plateau on the employed self-employed structures.
Yeah,
Legislation will change that. Taxation will change that. The enforcement of taxation will change that. And for the record, anyone listening, I believe in both models depending on your
yeah,
individual business. Okay.
yeah.
Um, I think you call them the super salon, but I think the high street salon, whatever you're going to call them, or the destination salon, has a future. There's probably going to be less of them. They're probably going to be much better quality. They're probably going to be higher price. They're probably where the entrepreneurs are going to go, right?
Yeah,
The people who want to create a professional business for not necessarily professional people, but people who understand what high level or quality service is. We've always had freelance. We've always had mobile, right? I can't remember, back to the bloody, wherever, 70s. They've always been there. They tend to, not always, but they tend to be quite transient. And they move in and out of their career, they move in and out of families, and it works for them. I think there's a place for them, and they take a certain type of client. So I don't think it is that kind of the industry that is going to change. I think the industry is going to change where um, when we enforce things like taxation legislation and make sure that people are operating legally. That I think perhaps that was the caveat I should have put in, guys, when I'm talking about this. Legally operated businesses. All right. Because I mentioned 80% there, by the way. And
mm-hmm.
you might be thinking, maybe you thought when I said this, I'm 80%, how can they all stay awake or alive? I don't know the bloody stay awake. How you stay alive? It's because the owners subsidize the business. And they
Yeah,
subsidize it by not paying themselves or paying
yeah,
themselves half wages. Or in some cases, and I think I might have said this before, we have partners who are contributing to that business, either with time, like
mm-hmm.
partners standing on reception for free, or I have had individual cases that I'm witness to where their partners pay the VAT bill out of their business. Yeah. And so you might be looking around your high street or whatever you're looking and saying, oh my God, they're doing well and they got big shiny chandeliers, but the business is a fake. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
we've only got, so that's 80%. 80% of businesses are not making money legitimately or, and I don't mean, when I say legitimately, I don't mean illegally necessarily. But if you're paying yourself 100 quid a week as an owner, a hairdresser, that's one of those hobby places you was talking about, right?
Yeah,
So we've got 20% left, and then not all of them are making a ton of money. So we're probably into 10 or 5%. So I think that split isn't going to change. So I don't think the salons are going to go, because it's like posh restaurants. They never go. Yeah, we still want to go to a posh restaurant for an occasion, or for a reason, or for quality food, or because we deserve it, or something. But and I think the self-employed market is going to change. That's a whole new podcast. It's changing because, and I want to thank every rental salon owner right this now. The you property renters, those of you who are waking up to real rentals, thank you, because we've been doing like 20 quid a day rents, right? It's another fake business. We've got people doing it, running a chair on 400 quid a day, paying £20 rent. I'm listening to people now say I'm charging 100, 150, £200 a day. Well done. Now those renters are going, well, maybe I should be employed. Yeah, maybe I don't want to be doing this thing. So I think in many, many locations that, there's been a golden maybe 5 years where,
I think there's a balance there. There's a balance there because, again, some people that I've spoken to who were renting, where the price has got to a point where they've gone, do you know what, I may as well go and rent my own property. So I don't think
yeah,
it's that split thing of they're not always going to go for employed, because it depends on where they are in their life. It
yes,
becomes okay, I'm now going to take the plunge and I'm going to rent my own property, because for that amount of money that you want me to do, I may as well go and do it myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the
I
balance
don't
all
think
the
it's
time.
that
You know,
simplistic.
yeah, I think that's the balance all the time, because it's not just money either. It's to do with your lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you got a young family and you need to work 4 days a week, but you can do 12-hour days, but the other 3 days you're going to do that. And that's what the mobile freelance thing came about. Really, it's flexibility.
Well, look, we've
And
had that conversation, haven't we?
yeah, yeah,
Where I move area, my CV's this
yeah,
amazing thing.
right,
I get
yeah,
divorced, I have a kid, and I can't get a job. And
yeah,
my whole world was always PAYE. Self-employed was never even on the cards for me. But I, in effect, because of my expertise, was unemployable and would be looked at, I presume, as a threat. Oh, she's going to come in, she only wants part-time. I wanted human contact. I wanted to feel like myself, having had this child who I adored, but having that drive to kind of just want to get out and be within the work environment that I'd always been in, that was my safe space, and just not being able to find anybody who would employ me, or what I was being offered,
yeah,
because of how childcare was at that time. I'd be in a deficit. I'd be paying myself to go to work, in effect.
mm,
So yeah, that's a whole other kind of thing where I go, that's what forced me to go self-employed, because there was nothing in my local area that would fit for what I needed and what I was looking for. So yeah, I think there's a whole proportion of the workforce that goes self-employed, maybe through force rather than through need or necessity.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes it a very diverse industry then, doesn't it? When you like,
Yeah.
when we got employed, self-employed, when we got legitimate, illegal, legal, when we got mobile freelance, when we got, what do you call them, spas, clinics, aestheticians, we got hair, we got garden salons. It's a very diverse thing. There is a certain thread through all of those businesses though, which is the quality of the work, which is legitimate business, which is making legitimate profitability, which is education, and which is compliance. I think that's something we haven't touched on too much in the podcast, but compliance is a lot of what you do in terms of health and safety and regulation, and compliance that is heading our way.
But you
You
know
know,
what? It isn't. Compliance for me isn't just about, yes, you've got to comply with the regulations and legislations, but you can also elevate. And that's what, again, like the business side, what people don't tend to associate, because of the tick list format that it always has been in. It's a piece of paper to put in a document. That attraction aspect of having a safe, secure, and when you talk about safety, that's security, personal safety, your health insurance, your pension, your financial security. That's what safety and safe space to me is about creating. Getting back to, well, if I'd been employed 12 years ago, in a place that I loved, I'd still be there now. I wouldn't have gone self-employed. And I genuinely believe that the recruitment processes and the mindset sometimes with salon business owners, because the critical thinking, let's say, maybe isn't there because it's something that is taught if you don't have it through business coaching and training and everything else, that unless you can see a bigger picture on the person who's coming to you for that recruitment position, you're going to lose somebody who's going to be dedicated, who's going to be brilliant because of your own inflexibility.
Well, I think this safe space thing is right. We don't understand what that really means. And we don't, and like you're saying about recruitment, and we were talking about it before the podcast as well.
Yeah.
We don't understand or connect with our team at a high level. We are too superficial. And that's the problem. We don't understand their needs. We don't look at this long term. Now,
Well,
the
it's the
course coming up.
friendship thing, isn't it? It's a friendship thing. When you've come through a process of being creative, being hands-on, making people feel better,
Mhm.
if your skill set doesn't allow you and your personality doesn't allow you to go, okay, I need to separate this now, that's another point where friction and issues arise because your team don't see you as their manager or the business owner. They see you as their mate and it's too friendly. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that a lot of people in industry are complicit to without even realizing they are, because the skill set isn't there. So then we go full circle back to functional skills and developing your business brain, your
Yeah.
negotiation brain, your leadership brain. And I think that's quite difficult for people who come into our sector to kind of grab hold of and do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll put this guys into the podcast notes as well. So I got a course coming out in the next few weeks, okay, which is actually work less, earn more. Right now, why it's relevant to this is because the problem we have as we get bigger and better at running our business is that because of we're accidental business owners again, and we are amazing at all the services. Honestly, we have such an amazing industry of people who can deliver the services. You'll never ever find me criticizing any hairdresser, therapist, barber. Amazing, right? But we're in this business and we work and work and work, but we don't have time for anyone else. We don't have time to develop little Johnny or Mary or Sally. We don't have time to look after their genuinely now. I mean, their well-being. We don't have time to talk to them. We don't understand their family needs. We don't understand their career needs. We don't connect with them, and that's why your business falls apart. Yeah, like Sam would have still been at her first salon, or the salon from 12 years ago, if they had connected with her and engaged with her and
Instead of giving me the job.
fulfill and fulfill give you the job and but fulfilled your needs long term. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And there are salons out that have done that. I mean, there's going to be people listening to this going, "You're wrong, Carl. My staff have been with me 20 years." Well done to you, but you are
A
sadly in the
rarity.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a very tiny minority, and people are going to learn a lot from you if you share that. Most people are just processing employees, and that's why they go into the bloody self-employed market, because they're being processed. And my little course that you'll be able to get is all about, if I work less doing the service and I focus more on my team, I'm going to get better results. And there's people out there, the CEOs, just go and Google it, okay, or jump on YouTube, right? There are CEOs of massive, massive companies who spend 80% of their time recruiting or managing staff. 80%. Imagine running a 20 million billion pound business and you spend 80% because they know that without the right people managing the right way, they have nothing. And that's where we go wrong. Accidental business owners.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Right, come on, let's bring this to a conclusion. I think, yeah, look, this could be a 9-hour podcast. We've tried to keep it. I think, guys, we've tried to keep this within the realms of much more general industry-based things around um, structures, systems, procedures, how it's affecting us all. And really, what the summary from me, Sam, you can have the summary in a moment. Um, for me, I just want salon owners to be take responsibility for yourselves. I want you to be autonomous. I want you to realize you can achieve anything. Don't listen to what social media is telling you. Don't listen to the news. Don't listen to the press. Don't listen to the government. Yes, things can be tough, and not everything is going to easily go your way. But absolutely, it's possible for you to achieve a lot more with it, with a change of mindset. Sam?
I think, well, I just agree with everything that you've said for once. Usually I'm kind of like,
What a perfect marriage if that was to happen.
I think it's more of a summary of a wish of people just realizing that their sphere of existence is their sphere of existence, and you focus on that. And like I use the ship analogy, whatever's going along in the waters outside of it, as long as you've got that focus within your business and you look after yourself. You know what I'm like about mental health, that kind of, don't get to that stage of where you're burning out. Seek the assistance that is out there, whether that's something like access to work that our industry doesn't, the owners of the businesses don't go for when they're going towards burnout, anxiety, depression. There is actually grant funding out there to help you and support in a different way with business, right the way through to the have an open mind when somebody who's got a child sitting in front of you going, please give me a job, because you know, my point is, get to know the person who's coming to you for that job a little bit more than you normally would, because you might find that you've got your superstar person sitting there who right here and now isn't what you're ideally looking for, but as you grow them and develop them, is just going to stay with you. That's my 10 pence worth.
And that was your wish, and we're going to end the podcast with Sam Blake's wish. Sam, thank you so much. We're going to do more of these because I think we got so many subjects we've got to cover. And we're all going through a whole new batch of Salon Health podcasts this year. But look, big personal thanks to you, because I know you've taken some time out to spend with me today. But how do people get hold of you? We should have done that. How do people get hold of you?
So I'm in a pivot. I'm in a pivot where I took 7 months out of the industry because I needed to look after my burnout level and mental health and get what I want to do as well as what is needed and what people will buy. So I'm in a writing phase of life, but I want to create a legion of risk assessors, Carl. People with that critical thinking to look like that. What's going on, basically?
Where will this legion find you?
Facebook at the moment, the Safer Salon Geek, or add me as Sam Blake.
That's what I wanted you to say. Safer Salon Geek, guys, on Facebook if you want Sam Blake. You know to get hold of me, info@salonhealth.co.uk. You can find me on the Salon Health Facebook group, the Salon Health Facebook page. You can find me on Instagram. You can even find me on TikTok these days, guys. You can find me all over the place. Oh my God. Salon Health is a changing. On that note, guys, thank you so much. We will catch you next week in the next Salon Health Good to Go podcast.
Thank you, Sensei. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. You have been listening to the Salon Health Good to Go podcast. Please take a look in our show notes, pick up your links, and leave us a review. Don't forget to let other salon, spa, and clinic owners know that we are here every Sunday at 4 p.m. to kickstart their week. I'll catch you on the next episode.